So the process for an EDD audit, when a client has an audit, they get a letter from the government that says we are requesting records for routine investigation. And it usually arises because somebody who worked for your company as a contractor filed for unemployment. So now they want to, EDD would like to go and investigate your company to see if you have other contractors, other people who have received a 1099 who potentially are misclassified and should be employees. The process starts with that letter. We then meet with you. We'll do a lengthy interview and maybe with your workers as well. And if you have a good relationship with the person the contractor who filed for unemployment, and a lot of times the company does, they just simply had no more work for this contractor, so we'll interview that worker as well. And we'll ask them, tell us, what does it mean to be a contractor? Do you have a real business? Are you doing advertisements? Do you have your own client base? Why do you believe yourself to be an independent business owner? And sometimes they just don't understand what it means to be a business owner. They say, well, I'm working on a project. I mean, I've been working for a couple, maybe 6 or 7 months on this, or maybe a couple years with this, this company. But they give me work and I do it, and I'm independent, and this is, how I kind of function. But sometimes they don't understand what it means to be an independent business owner. And so we'll ask them a series of questions. My job is not to feed them information. My job is just to make sure they understand what the questions are. When EDD comes along and starts asking questions, do they really understand what it means to be an independent contractor? Because it's actually fairly technical. That's where the fun and the magic begins, right? So we're going to get all your accounting information. We're going to get all your transactional documents. We're going to get all the different types of tax returns you have, because you'd be surprised, specifically with EDD, they will match your federal and state tax returns and cross-reference to make sure the numbers are still correct. So you'll have a federal income tax return, you'll have a payroll return, you're going to have your 1099s. On your federal income tax return, if it says outside services, that number should match what all of your 1099s are. And when they look through your accounting records, there's something called a general ledger, which is a list of all your transactions. It'll list all the payments to all of your contractors. Well, we definitely go through your records with a fine-tooth comb, because if, for instance, you made a payment to a contractor and it said bonus, that could be potentially a problem, right? Because you don't give bonuses to contractors. You give a holiday bonus to an employee. So we'll look through all those records and then come back to you and identify what these issues are, and then we're going to resolve those issues with an explanation and maybe documents to support that. Maybe it wasn't really a holiday bonus. Maybe it was a bonus because they took an extra project on short notice. Kind of like when a plumber comes out after hours, they charge you an extra charge, right? Because it's outside of the normal service hours. So there's multiple explanations, but really understanding why the payment was made is the key. And making sure that you reported all of your payments on 1099s, because the state has a wicked way of coming back and penalizing you when you don't give the correct number on a 1099. There's a lot of negotiation. So step 1 was the investigation, our investigation. Step 2 is to give documents to the government, EDD in this case. Step 3 is to really discuss the facts and force the government and the auditor to look through the documents. A lot of times they don't have the time, they're just busy people. They get a lot of cases. And so we are going through those facts, and do you understand what this means, and negotiating with them. And at the end of the day, we'll get a good resolution, because it's the best result that we could have, maybe even better than what the facts suggest. But a lot of negotiation goes into all of these cases. It's not cut and dry. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a letter from the government that says you'll either owe money or you're not going to owe money. If you don't owe money, it's a no change. And that's what we always strive for, if it's possible. If there's going to be an assessment, hopefully it's going to be a minimal assessment, because we've done our job to convince the government that there haven't been that much of a deviation from what should have happened. The best result we have is when we have a criminal case on an EDD. We have a construction company that hires unlicensed workers to do licensed work, and a lot of times the general contractors understand that if a guy is digging a ditch, that's licensed work that could hit a gas line, a power line, a water line, sewer line. All sorts of bad things can happen. So those are the cases. We've had numerous cases that come in, and the CSLB, Contractor State Licensing Board, along with EDD, they'll do a sweep. They'll just drive around neighborhoods looking for construction sites and start interviewing people and realize these people don't have a license and they're not working as employees or not employees of the contractor. So that's when the criminal investigation starts. And our job, and the happiest moment of our life, is when the contractor the general contractor does not end up with a criminal prosecution. They've learned their lesson. The government believes that they're now in compliance. And that's really, in the end of the day, that's all the government wants. They want to make sure they're not going to continue to repeat the bad behavior and cause harm to society, because society has to be protected from unlicensed contractors. That's the whole focus of those CSLB audits. So we convinced the government that the person has basically come clean and is going to be in compliance, and hopefully we can minimize the amount of money that they may owe the government. But that's the end of the day, that's the happy moment we have. When we feel that everybody, the person doesn't owe money and the government feels satisfied and they can walk away without having a criminal conviction.